Hello there, everyone. How are you all doing? Today, I'm going to be going over the MLB trade deadline so far. As of the time that I'm recording this, it's currently 9 in the morning on the day of the deadline, August 3rd. So some trades haven't gone through yet, but a majority, well, kind of about half of the big ones that have been rumored so far have gone through. So I'm going to be going over the trades themselves. What do I think the trades mean for these teams, and if the return's good, and I'll kind of go over some of the other rumors as well, just to see what happens and what doesn't. I'll probably make a trade or like a video at some point, maybe later in the week, kind of going over the trade deadline in its totality, and ranking teams coming out of the trade deadline. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the first trade that really happened that I consider to be part of the deadline was the Mets trading left-handed reliever AJ Minter to the Minnesota Twins for Bruin. I'm not even gonna try. And Billy Amick. Overall, it's a solid return for the Mets, all things considered. I mean, AJ Minter, he's not one of those premier relievers, but he's pretty solid. He'll definitely help out a team, and so you got what I think is a relatively solid return for him. I mean, these guys, for the most part, let's just kind of see how they're playing right now. Billy Amick is 23, third baseman. So far this year, has 24 home runs, 74 RBIs, a ton of strikeouts, quite a bit of walks, but not a great average. His OPS overall, though, is pretty good. Obviously, I think you'd want him to fix his average. Getting that contact up would be a big thing for him. I have no idea what level this is on. Double A. Alright, so this is in Double A. Since he's gotten to the Mets, he's already hit a home run, which is pretty good for him. Overall, it's a solid prospect. Maybe he'll get a call up at some point, maybe some kind of cup of tea, but that might not be for like another 2 years. And looking at the other guy here, looking at Bruin, he's 19. He's a shortstop, bats left. He's 6'2", 185. Pretty good for a shortstop. He's only in single A so far. And in single A, he's putting up okay numbers, not really anything that'll, blow your mind. But to be fair, it's only 10 games so far. Overall, in his minor league career, he's pretty much hitting about the exact same. He must be a relatively new draftee. So this guy definitely has a lot of room to improve. But overall, I mean, you take it. It's a shortstop. It gives you some minor league depth. I believe this was like their 17th and 22nd prospect in their twin system. So it's not an incredible return, but it will definitely do. And I mean, overall, I feel like the Twins are the overall winner of this trade, at least at the time that I'm recording this. Because they're starting to battle in for the division spot, and AJ Minter will definitely help do that. So overall, that's the first trade. Next trade was also Minnesota, though. They traded for Dean Kramer, the Baltimore Orioles, for Yohelmo Reyes. A 1-for-1 swap is definitely very interesting. Let's check out Reyes real quick. He's an outfielder, a lefty, 6'3", 186. Let's see. He's currently in single A. He was just in rookie ball. And in rookie ball, he did a pretty good job. He was batting .296 with a .409 on base. Pretty good slugging percentage and a .950 OPS with 7 home runs and 44 RBIs. The strikeout to walk numbers are also pretty solid. So far in single A, he's not doing as well. But he's only 7 games in, so there's plenty of time for him to turn that around. And I have no idea how old this dude is. Neither does MLB apparently. But I mean, still plenty of time for this guy to develop. Still plenty of time for this guy to get somewhere. And the return is Major League right-handed starter Dean Kramer, who is pretty good, all things considered. If we want to look at his stats here, so far this season, he has not been very good. 6.5 ERA through 7 starts, 36 innings. Good amount of strikeouts, but nothing crazy. As you can see, he had 2 really bad starts against Boston and Detroit, respectively. I believe this was coming from him coming off of the IL, which, I mean, it happens. Maybe he's just not right yet. But you can kind of see through his career, he's had his years. He's usually about an average pitcher, about 4.10 in terms of the ERA. Not anything crazy, but he will definitely pitch some innings for you. He'll eat some innings. He'll try and do what he can. So overall, as like a number 5 starter, I don't think he's the worst that you could get. He should help out a little bit, but on the pace that he's on this season, maybe he won't. So overall, I feel like it's kind of like this could end up being a whatever trade. But I feel like the Orioles probably came out of this for the better. It's kind of like an addition by subtraction type thing. So I feel like the Orioles kind of came out of this with the, better end. But I mean, Dean Kramer is an MLB proven arm. So at the end of the day, maybe he'll get right up in Minnesota and maybe he'll do good. All right, the next deal I want to cover is this kind of strange swap that the Guardians and the Brewers did. Kind of swapping like borderline MLB players. So the Brewers acquired Bo Naylor and Cody Hewler in exchange for Blake Perkins and Craig Yoho. Bo Naylor has had his struggles this year. Definitely hasn't been the best. And even through just his MLB career, he hasn't been incredible so far. 199 average, not a good on base. Slugging is kind of whatever, and the OPS is kind of whatever as well. But he has a little pop to him. He plays solid defense. You haven't really seen much of it this year. So he was actually down in the minors for quite a bit. Which, I mean, it is what it is. So you're kind of trading for a guy who might come up, might, get some catching days for you. But probably for the most part, he's just going to be catching depth. In terms of the other guy that you received, Cody Hewler, he is a reliever, I believe, who overall isn't horrible, but he's kind of not really someone that you go, oh yeah, I know Cody Hewler, As you can see, he's played with a few teams in his career. Overall, his ERA is 3.76 through 97 games and about 100 innings. Nothing horrible, nothing crazy. He's going to be kind of just relieving depth more than likely for a Brewers team that already has quite a bit of pitching depth overall, which is a good pickup for him. And moving on to the Guardians side, in exchange for those two, they pick up Blake Perkins, who in the past has been a pretty good center fielder. He's a switch hitter, big contact guy. Overall, defensively is where you're going to get the most impact from him. As you can see, his overall batting isn't incredible. But he has his moments every now and then. He strikes out quite a bit. Doesn't really walk a ton. Not really a ton of pop. But the reason why you would call him up is because of his fielding. If you kind of look at his fielding numbers here, overall he has an 1,000 fielding percentage. In left, he has a 996 in center and 986 in right. So you definitely would want him as like a left fielder, center fielder. He'll be a relatively good glove for you. He'll make the plays that he's supposed to, but don't expect a ton of offense coming from him. The other player that they did receive was Craig Yoho, who is another middle reliever. He's kind of whatever. He's another one of those like toss away reliever type guys. In his stints with the Brewers last year, he had a 7.27 ERA. But overall this year, he had 3 ERA through 21 innings. Not a ton of, major league experience, but it's always nice to have relieving depth, at the end of the pen when you need it. And although the Guardians have a relatively good bullpen, you can never have enough bullpen arms. So overall, Craig Yoho is a solid pickup for a Cleveland team that just needed a little more depth. I feel like overall, though, I think the overall winner of this is more than likely Cleveland. I just feel like the pieces for them are overall better than the pieces that the Brewers got. But it's kind of just a win-win in general because both teams get more depth that they needed. And you can never go wrong with that. All right, so the next trade I'm going to go over here is the Camilo Doval trade. Now, the Yankees traded Camilo Doval to the Pittsburgh Pirates for Omar Alfonso and Luis Cruz. We'll start with the Pirates side here. Camilo Doval, in the past, has been a really good reliever. Was actually the Giants closer for about 3 years. He has a relatively good resume. But he's been relatively shaky for the past year. Just hasn't really gotten his footing with the Yanks, especially. As you can see with the Yankees, he's put up about a 4.7 ERA through about 50 or so innings, which isn't great. And he's not starting off his Pirates tenure off very well. He already gave up a home run against the Reds in his first appearance. But overall, if you look at the track record, he's a relatively good reliever. He has his moments. He can definitely get a little shaky. But all in all, if you want him as a middle relieving guy, he'll definitely do that job for you. Just don't put him as your closer. Because if you put him at your closer, he might not be able to hold down the fort for you for very long. But as a middle reliever, he'll definitely do the job. So overall, a buy-in from the Pirates, which is great to see as a baseball fan. You like to see them trying to compete with a good bullpen arm and buying at the deadline. I mean, it's great. So overall, what this means for Pittsburgh, I would give it like a really big thumbs up. But maybe the acquisition in totality is more of like a halfway thumbs up or like a middle thumb. It's not really one of those premier acquisitions we're going to talk about today. But overall, it's a good trade for them. We're going to take a look at what they gave up. So they gave up a catcher, Omar Alfonso, and taking a look at kind of what he's been able to pull off this season. He started in rookie ball, made his way to single A, and eventually made his way to double A. And in double A, he had 10 doubles, 86 hits, 9 home runs, 35 RBIs, 22 walks, and 73 strikeouts with a 239 average, 758 OPS, and a 338 on base. Overall, he's an interesting prospect. He is 23, so he's a little bit on the older side of a prospect, but overall, he could be very good catching depth for the Yankees down the road. And probably a guy that they would want to hold on because it seems like they can develop guys out of their farm system from the middle of nowhere. So it's a good quality pickup from the Yanks. And moving on to the other prospect that the Yankees did receive, Luis Cruz. Probably the more interesting player from this package, just because there's not a ton about him yet. Overall, puts up a pretty good on-base number so far this year. Definitely limited games, both in rookie ball. But, 8 RBI, 14 walks to 3 strikeouts with 318 and a 333 average. Split between both teams so far is definitely really good. It's a solid return. This guy could be very interesting. I don't know how old he is. It doesn't say. But I'd imagine he's probably about 18. Maybe 19. So definitely a lot of interesting potential for Luis Cruz. Overall, if you'd ask me who won this trade, I feel like it's probably the Yankees. Just getting some prospects back for a guy who's not doing very good for you. But what it means for the Pirates is that they are going to attempt to buy at the deadline at least a little bit. And for that, I feel like they won the trade as like, spiritually, I guess they won the trade. But yeah. All right, so moving on to our next trade here, we have a trade between the Chicago White Sox and the Seattle Mariners. In this trade, the Seattle Mariners traded Luis Castillo to the Chicago White Sox in return for Sir Anthony Dominguez, Boston Smith, Nolan Jones, and some cash. This is another one of those spiritual trades where I feel like spiritually the White Sox won this trade. And the reason why is because, one, you get off of Sir Anthony Dominguez, who for you as a closer was not great. If we can, we'll take a look at his numbers here. Former Philly, by the way. But looking at his stats so far this season, you can kind of see him. 43 games, 12 saves, 3.99 ERA. Not a good whip, really, at all. He wasn't great for you in a closer role. Wasn't horrible either. He was serviceable. But definitely someone you would want to trade with the bullpen that they have. He's very expendable, and with the money he's making, why not? Looking at the rest of the return for Seattle, Boston Smith is definitely the interesting guy out of this trade. Looking at his minor league career, through 3 teams in the minor leagues so far this year, he has hit 22 home runs, 58 RBIs, 96 strikeouts, 10 stolen base, and 74 walks with a 291 average and a 1,000 OPS. And that's scaling from single A all the way to double A. So this guy has performed at most levels at an elite clip, and is definitely the interesting prospect return for this for Luis Castillo. It's 2BA if he's going to be something in the future, but he's definitely on pace to probably crack the majors at some point in time. So you will definitely take that. And speaking of the majors, a former major league player and a former all-star in this trade, Nolan Jones. Nolan Jones was a very interesting player. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know he was on the White Sox. Looking at his major league career, nothing crazy. 247 average, 732 OPS, 336 on base. Pretty high strikeouts, pretty low walks. But as you can see here in 2023, he made an all-star team for the Rockies. 931 OPS with a 297 average. He looked like he was going to be a breakout player for the Rockies, but he was not. He's 28 years old, so he should be in the prime of his career right now and might be able to provide something of interest for Cleveland. Not for Cleveland, for Seattle. Looking at his minor league stats so far this year, he's doing solid, I guess. 13 extra base hits. Well, actually, what am I even looking at? Oh, that's his advanced stats. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. So looking at how he's doing so far through the minors, he has 14 home runs, 59 RBIs, about 100 strikeouts with about like a 250 average right now. And OPS probably somewhere a little under 800. So not horrible. You probably call him up as the depth piece in case you need him. But overall, not a horrible pickup. And overall, the package for Luis Castillo is probably more than you would probably think he was worth. But knowing Castillo's pedigree, maybe it's a little undervalued. But speaking of which, looking at Luis Castillo, so far this season through 100 innings, he has a 5 ERA. And that's through 20 games as well with a 1.39 whip, which you can see is way above his career average during the regular season. He's just kind of had a bit of a disaster season. He started to turn into one of the odd men out in Seattle, going from one of their aces to that. It's definitely a bit of a fall from grace. And as you can see, it's kind of been like a steady decline over time up until this point, and it doesn't help that I believe he's 33. Yep. But overall, if you look at the pedigree here, he's definitely capable of being a top-of-the-line starter in baseball. And although he's making about $25 to $30 million, definitely a pickup I'm sure the White Sox would not regret. Just because of what it means for the team. It means that the team is competitive, they're buying, and they want to try and compete in the AL Central. So just for this move, or just for that, like, idea of it alone, I like to trade for the White Sox. Maybe there's a chance Castillo will go back to his career norm, where he's averaging like 3.4 ERA, and maybe he'll be a workhorse for the White Sox down the road. But it's really just kind of a matter of time, or well, more so time will tell. So yeah, I think overall, Mariners probably win this trade. But what it means for the White Sox, I feel like the White Sox win in terms of what they've been able to accomplish this season. Moving on to the next trade here, and probably the one that you all have been waiting for, Tarek Skubal gets traded to the LA Dodgers in return for River Ryan, Brady Smith, and Zaire Hope. I cannot understate how bad for baseball this is. I know I'm a Phillies fan, so obviously I don't like the Dodgers. But even just for baseball in general, this is not a good look. This package is pretty much nothing for a 2-time back-to-back Cy Young in the AL. And trading him to the Dodgers of all team is a worst case scenario. They already have enough star power as is. They don't need another Cy Young on their roster. But I'm sure as a Dodgers fan, you're probably elated. As a Tigers fan, you're probably sick to your stomach. And as a baseball fan, you should probably be sick to your stomach, because what this means is it almost certainly means there will be a lockout next year. But for the sake of fairness and going over the trade, we'll go over all the pieces here. We'll start with Tarek Skubal, of course, who will be wearing an LA Dodgers cap for the rest of the year. So far this season, through 16 starts and about 100 innings, he has 2.79 ERA, which is pretty good, but a little less dominant than usual. But his whip tells you that he should be getting much, much, much better as time goes on. And looking at, obviously, his last 2 years, especially 2.39 and a 2.21 ERA with an under 1 whip. This guy's insane. One of the best pitchers in baseball, without a doubt. And now he's going to be wearing a Dodgers cap. And although he is a free agent this year, I almost guarantee you he's going to get some kind of extension. So I'm sure he will be wearing a Dodgers cap for a long, long time. Which, good for him. Make your bank. Go play for the best team in baseball. But it's bad for the sport overall, probably. Although, I guess any other team probably could have done this, but I actually have a feeling that there was some kind of colluding between owners as a way to enforce a salary cap. Because obviously, if you trade Tarek Skubal to the Dodgers, who already have a loaded payroll, and you make them, I don't know, it feels like you're forcing the players' hands to do something here. Because obviously other players want to compete and they want to get these players, but if the Dodgers are just going to be able to buy everybody, then there's no point in competing. So this just feels like a way for, the Tigers to get something back for them, but also kind of help push the owner's ideas of a salary cap onto the players. That way, a team like the Dodgers can't be formed again. Maybe that's just me spitting rumors, but I feel like that's kind of like the underlying idea of this trade. But anyways, it's Tarek Skubal. He was the biggest fish at the deadline, and the Dodgers land him. So good for LA fans. Hopefully, y'all appreciate him, and I'm sure he'll do great. Looking at the return though, for the Tigers, the main headliner obviously is going to be Zaire Hope, outfielder, 21 years old. Looking at his stats through the minors so far this year, he's been absolutely absurd. He's hit 23 home runs, 87 RBIs, 45 walks with 100 strikeouts, 293 average, and an 899 OPS. This guy is great. Even his fielding is pretty solid. Definitely struggles a little bit in left, but overall you keep him in right field, he'll probably be fine. Yeah, I mean, Zaire Hope is definitely the main guy, but I'm surprised you couldn't get more than just Zaire Hope. They had so many other guys in their system that you could have picked up, like Jose Del Paula, and a few other guys. I don't know if Zaire Hope is a headlining guy, but I guess only time will tell. Looking at the next player in return, River Ryan. He's 27 years old. He's a starting pitcher. He's pitched 4 times in the MLB and has a 1.33 ERA, which is pretty good. But looking at his minor league stats so far this year, 4.46 ERA through 40 innings. Just not good. This guy's not really a prospect even. He should be going into the prime of his career. So, I mean, you traded for a guy who you'll probably call up just for the sake of it, and maybe he'll get a spot in the rotation, maybe he'll get a spot in the bullpen, but probably nothing more than that. He'll probably be nothing more than just a depth pitcher, which is not a good part of the return if you're going to trade the best pitcher in baseball. So that's what I think. And moving on to the last guy here, we have Brady Smith. He's a 6'2", 170 righty pitcher. So far through this year, he has a 4.36 ERA through about 75 innings. Allowed 62 hits, 30 walks, 113 strikeouts. Definitely a good pitcher, but he has a long way to go. And at 21, you kind of hope he starts to develop a little quick. He's not necessarily old for a prospect. But obviously, if you want this guy to make an MLB impact as fast as possible, you'd like him to progress as fast as possible. So hopefully he does well. He's not a horrible pitcher. He's not a horrible return, but for Tarek Skubal, maybe you'd want a little more. So overall, in totality, looking at this trade, the Dodgers are easily the winners here. They pretty much stole Tarek Skubal for pennies on the dollar, and now they have one of the most elite pitching staffs in probably baseball history. So good on the Tigers for giving them up for that. Speaking of which, we got 2 more trades I'm going to go over here today. Another trade that happened is Freddie Peralta was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for Gary Hill, Aiden Smith, and Emilian Petrie. Freddie Peralta this year, if we take a look at his stats, has struggled a lot this year. 4.99 ERA, one of the worst ERAs in baseball from a pitcher with over 100 innings. Just not a good year this year. But if you look at his pedigree, he's been really good in years past. He's probably much better than how he played with the Mets, and I think in Tampa he's going to be electric. It's nice to see Tampa buy in. Freddie Peralta is the perfect type of pitcher for him. He's going to go in and help Drew Rasmussen and Ryan Pepio and just kind of take the load off their shoulders a little more. Overall, though, this guy's going to be great for the Rays. It's a good pickup, and for everything you gave up, honestly, not horrible. So looking at the return here, we'll start with Gary Gill Hill. It's a great name. 21 years old. So far through his minor league career this year, in high A and double A, he's given up about a 4.5 ERA on average through about 100 innings. Solid pitcher overall. Definitely has some ways to go. I believe he was like the 18th pitcher in their system, or like the 18th prospect in their system, so not anything crazy. But definitely not a horrible return. Looking at the next guy, we have Aiden Smith here, 22 years old. So far this season through rookie ball in high A, he has 10 homers, 37 RBIs, 215 average, 283 on base, and a 693 OPS. Has a long way to go in terms of developing. Obviously, it could be something down the road, but right now it doesn't look like he's on track for that. I believe he was like the 22nd best prospect in this system, so it's not, necessarily a surprise. But you definitely would expect a little bit more for a pitcher that was in Cy Young conversation last year. So far the return's kind of been whatever. And looking at the last guy, Emilian Petrie, I believe this guy was the main pickup from this trade. Looking at his stats so far this year in high A and double A, he's a 323 average, 943 OPS, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs through about 80 games. Not horrible at all, but for 23, you'd probably hope he'd be mashing double A like he is. So you just gotta hope that he stays on pace. He's a lefty, and it's always nice to have some shortstops in your system, so I'm sure the Mets are going to be pretty happy with that. But looking in the trade in totality, I would definitely give the win to Tampa. You pick up a guy who was Cy Young caliber last year for maybe at most your 15th best prospect in your system, and a few other kind of throwing guys. So good trade for Tampa. So the final 2 trades that I'd really like to go over is Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter to the Braves for Carter Holton and Lucas Braun. It's kind of just a whatever to throw away trade. But the main guy here you're looking at is Lane Thomas, who this year has struggled a lot. But in years past, he made an all-star team with Washington. He has the caliber of being a good player. He just kind of hasn't seen it so far this season. He's definitely one of those pickups where you're going to see him in a Braves uni and you're going to be like, oh yeah, he's going to be a 800 OPS hitter and he's going to absolutely slug for the rest of the season. And I wouldn't be surprised. Bailey Falter is kind of just whatever. He's coming in from Kansas City with a 13.97 ERA through 9 innings. Not good at all. I imagine he'll just be pitching depth for him if they need him. So yeah, not really anything great there. The return, Carter Holton. Looking at how he's done so far this year, through this is advanced stats. Through 10 games so far, he's looking like he definitely needs to go back down to rookie ball. His single A stats are not great. Definitely has a lot of time kind of to develop, but it kind of just looks like a throwaway piece. And then looking at final player from this deal, Lucas Braun, who I believe was the main guy. Pitcher so far this year, 3.53 ERA through 90 innings. Not bad at all. He is 24, so hopefully he'll kind of fast track his way up through the system soon for the Royals' sake. He's in AAA right now, so I'm sure he might get a call up soon. But overall, not horrible. All in all, I think the winner of this trade is probably Atlanta. But it's not like the craziest trade ever. And the final trade of the video is also from Atlanta. We have Tyler Mahle here in return for Anthony Molina. Now, Tyler Mahle, so far this year, has been not great, but last year he was pretty solid. He has his years where he definitely does something interesting. I'm sure in the Braves pitching factory he's going to be pretty good. So I like this pickup personally for the Braves. And giving up Anthony Molina, who is a pitcher, 24 years old. So far in his major league career, has not really done much so far, and hasn't really done very good this year. But looking at his minor league stats, 3.64 ERA this year through 50 innings. He's definitely a good reliever type, and I'm sure he might be an interesting depth pitcher for the Giants. So overall, I think the winner of this trade is probably Atlanta, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Speaking of which, we got two more trades I'm going to go over here today. Another trade that happened is Freddie Peralta was traded to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for Gary Hill, Aiden Smith, and Emilian Petrie. Freddie Peralta this year, if we take a look at his stats, has struggled a lot this year. 4.99 ERA, one of the worst ERAs in baseball from a pitcher with over 100 innings. Just not a good year this year. But if you look at his pedigree, he's been really good in years past. He's probably much better than how he played with the Mets, and I think in Tampa he's going to be electric. It's nice to see Tampa buy in. Freddie Peralta is the perfect type of pitcher for him. He's going to go in and help Drew Rasmussen, and Ryan Pepiot, and just kind of take the load off their shoulders a little more. Overall, though, this guy's going to be great for the Rays. It's a good pickup, and for everything you gave up, honestly, not horrible. So looking at the return here, we'll start with Gary Hill. It's a great name. 21 years old. So far through his minor league career this year, in high A and double A, he's given up about a 4.5 ERA on average through about 100 innings. Solid pitcher overall. Definitely has some ways to go. I believe he was like the 18th pitcher in their system, or like the 18th prospect in their system, so not anything crazy. But definitely not a horrible return. Looking at the next guy, we have Aiden Smith here, 22 years old. So far this season through rookie ball in high A, he has 10 homers, 37 RBIs, 215 average, 283 on base, and a 693 OPS. Has a long way to go in terms of developing. Obviously, it could be something down the road, but right now it doesn't look like he's on track for that. I believe he was like the 22nd best prospect in the system, so it's not, necessarily a surprise. But you definitely would expect a little bit more for a pitcher that was in Cy Young conversation last year. So far, the return's kind of been whatever. And looking at the last guy, Emilian Petrie, I believe this guy was the main pickup from this trade. Looking at his stats so far this year in high A and double A, he's a 323 average, 943 OPS, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs through about 80 games. Not horrible at all, but for 23, you'd probably hope he'd be mashing double A like he is. So you just gotta hope that he stays on pace. He's a lefty, and it's always nice to have some shortstops in your system, so I'm sure the Mets are going to be pretty happy with that. But looking in the trade in totality, I would definitely give the win to Tampa. You pick up a guy who was Cy Young caliber last year for maybe at most your 15th best prospect in your system, and a few other kind of throwing guys. So good trade for Tampa.